Hey Sparkies, how you doing? It's good to see you. I know it's been a while, but we're back doing the virtual thing. It's better than nothing, but it's a way, an outlet that we can still reach out to y'all and share um, Jesus with you, to be able to communicate with you, let you know what's going on. We hope to be back soon. Again, I miss seeing every one of y'all and getting to talk to you and hear your stories. But tonight you get to listen to me tell a story. Um, Tonight we're going to be talking about a Samaritan. Uh, the Samaritan people, they did not get along with the Jews. They fought uh, constantly. They had different beliefs and religion as far as how to worship God and how to go about doing that. And they hated each other tremendously. And that'll play into the story that I'm going to tell you tonight about Jesus. Um, Jesus liked to travel around everywhere, to talk to people, to see people. And everywhere he went, he drew a crowd. And on one occasion, he stopped and was talking to people, and a crowd grew around him. And there was a man in the crowd. He was a expert of the law, so that means he knew the Jewish law inside and out. All right, he knew it very well. He was an expert, and he wanted to ask Jesus a question. Um, he wanted to know. He asked Jesus what the Jewish people had to do to be saved. And when he asked this question, he was trying to trick Jesus. He was trying to get him to say something wrong so that he could prove to everybody that Jesus didn't know everything. So when he asked Jesus the question, how do we go about being saved? Jesus turned around and asked him a question. He said, well, what does the law say? You're the expert of the law. What does the law say? And the law expert, he said that that it all goes back to loving God with everything you have. Love Him with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind. You need to love your neighbor the way that you love yourself. And Jesus told him, said, you're exactly right. That's what you got to do to be saved. So the expert, he's still trying to trick Jesus into saying something wrong so that he can prove to everybody that Jesus doesn't know everything. So he turned around and asked Jesus another question. He asked Jesus, he goes, well, who is my neighbor? If we're supposed to love our neighbor the way that we love ourselves, who is my neighbor? So in order for Jesus to answer this question, he told a story. And the story goes that there was a man walking down a road, was going from Jerusalem to Jericho. And in his travel, robbers jumped out. They beat him up to where he couldn't walk, and they took everything he had. So he's laying on the side of the road. He's bruised. He's got cuts. He can't move. He's in extreme pain. And a little while after that happened, a priest comes down the road, sees the man in the ditch on the side of the road, and the priest moves to the opposite side of the road to avoid him and walks past him. Doesn't stop, doesn't check on him or nothing. He just walks on by him. A little bit later, a Levite walks up on him, is walking down the road and walks up on the man, sees him, walks to the other side of the road, and keeps on going. Doesn't stop, doesn't check on him, doesn't do anything to help the man out. And finally, a Samaritan comes walking down the road. And the Samaritan sees the man. He stops. He goes up to him. He bandages his cuts and bruises, picks him up, carries him, and puts him on his donkey. And the Samaritan walks beside the donkey till they find an inn or a place to stay overnight. And he stays with the man overnight to make sure he's doing okay. The next morning, the Samaritan tells the innkeeper, here's money, and take care of the man that's in the room. If it costs more than that, when next time I come by, then I'll pay that money too. So the Samaritan was trying to take care of the man to make sure that he recovers from the attack. So then, after telling that story, Jesus looked to the law expert and asked the law expert, now who was the neighbor? The priest, the Levite, or the Samaritan? And the expert knew that the man that showed kindness was the Samaritan. And Jesus said, you're right. Now go and love people the same way. Now, even though the Samaritan was someone no one respected, Jesus told the expert of the law to be like the Samaritan. Jesus knows it's easy to love people you like, but it's another thing to love those you don't like at all. So how many of you have run across kids at school maybe that you don't like? Even though they're not very likable, Jesus wants you to love them. And that's hard. I mean, it's a very hard lesson. So think of it this way. You should love your neighbor. And who is your neighbor? Your neighbor is anyone who isn't you. Jesus wanted the people that heard the story to know that a neighbor wasn't just a person who lives next door. Your neighbors are everywhere. So everybody you meet is your neighbor. Okay? It's not just the person next door. When God is talking, or when Jesus is talking about neighbors, he means everybody that you run into. You're supposed to love them. And hopefully share the word of God with them, right? Tell them about Jesus. So you need to treat everybody with kindness because God created those people just like he created you. All right? It's a tough lesson. I said even for adults, to love people that you may not like. But it's what Jesus tells us to do. So we should do it. I hope everybody's doing great. Again, I hate that we can't meet yet. I don't know when they're going to let us come back to AWANA's. I hope soon. If not, then I'll do another lesson next week for y'all. But I hope y'all have a great week. Get your schoolwork done. And remember, we're thinking about y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.